Yes, Manav, I think you got it right. I think we need to focus on the larger and a longer term good for the industry. I think our problem lies on two fronts. Number one, hotel industry has always got clubbed and got lost in this whole tourism framework. And we typically become invisible within the tourism framework because there are lots of voices and lots of noise in that when that committee meets. So I think for us to push for something really material, we need to push first a single hospitality body in the country. We are very fragmented as an industry. We don't have a single hospitality body. There is a body which is an overarching umbrella body, which has all travel, trade, airlines, hotels, all a part of it. That does not give us the visibility that we need as an industry. The second thing, I think if I was to lobby for something first up, it would be to get a Minister of State for hotels. Within the tourism ministry, I think hospitality deserves, given the employment that we create, the contribution to the state exchequer, and the amount of foreign exchange that we bring in, I think we deserve an MOS in the sector. Coming down to the GST and the other matters like parking, I think these parking, FSI are all state subjects. So therefore, there have to be state bodies within the industry that need to address it with the states. These are not central subjects. And therefore, we'll have to really, really fight for it at the state level. We've had some success. Over the last 5 years, we've had 2 policy changes in the parking norms in Maharashtra, for example, both better for the industry. We've had FSI increase in Mumbai significantly over the last 5 years. And we've had some movement on ease of doing business, whether it's excise licenses, whether it's other licenses. There's a lot of automation and online that's happened for that. So to that extent, we've had some success. There's a lot to be done. Right now, my focus as a hotel company, the person who runs a hotel owning company, is to work with the state governments to get us relief on electricity costs, to get us relief on property tax, on excise duty, and finally on labor laws. And these all four are actually state subjects. Yes, I think that there's a lot to be picked up from what's happened over here. And it will sort of shape the future of hospitality, especially on the F&B side, extensively in the years to come. The only thing I'm hoping that, like always, the human and travelers' memory is short. And when we do find the vaccine and everything comes back to normal, so will banquets. But I think, Manav, it's been a few years now that some change has been happening on the F&B side. The days of a hotel, even a 5-star luxury hotel with 500 rooms, having 5, 6, a dozen restaurants, I think are passé. If you look at Chalet's portfolio, the last 2 hotels that we built, and the one in Bangalore was built as long as 7 years back, we had 1 all-day dining and 1 specialty. And we did that with Sahar, which is a 585-room hotel. The 2 hotels that we're building right now, the Westin at Hyderabad and the Hyatt at Airoli in Navi Mumbai, again had 1 all-day dining and 1 restaurant, and smaller banquet halls. See, the banquet hall size will depend on the location that you're at. Do you have demand generators in that market for banquets? Is something that you have to really assess in the new environment. I think, again, coming back to your policy point, we failed as an industry to drive home the point of what should be the safe number of people for a wedding, for example. I mean, why did we accept 50 people to a wedding as the norm? We should have fought that. We've actually made a representation in the last week saying that you've got to correlate it to the square footage that you have. At the end of the day, the goal is to get social distancing in place. So you cannot restrict a wedding to 50 people if you've got a 12,000 square foot of banquet hall in front of you. You've got to correlate it to the square footage. So we've made a grid. We've shared it with the government through the Hotel Association of India. The FHRA has also done the same. I asked CI also to do the same, the hospitality committee of that. And hopefully we'll get some relief on that side. But yes, I think F&B will change. We tend to anyway dilute the same set of guests. So I think this time around, the associations have raised their voices quite extensively. I've been privy because I'm part of most of the bodies that you mentioned just now. And I think at least the engagement with the government has been quite extensive. The output has been very poor. I think an area that we could have done a better job is probably a little more better job on the PR front in terms of, national, visibility of what the pain points are. And I think we should have highlighted more stronger the pain points or the pain that's going to be there on the employment front. And we employ about, I think, 8% of the workforce directly and indirectly between hotels and tourism. And that's 1 in 12 people that you see on the streets. That's a lot of people. Can we really take a risk with employment with that many people over there? So that's one thing that we need to communicate. I think on the policy front, I still believe we need a single body to represent the hospitality industry. At Faith, we get lost with the larger multitude of industries that come into play. HAI has a smaller base, so therefore the representation is weak, but I think we can strengthen that up. FHRA is a combination of hotels, restaurants, institutes, etc. We need to find a fix. I don't know what the answer is, but I think that single agency is the critical requirement for our industry. That's one. Second, we've had some success. Not that we haven't had success. I mean, today, hotel industry was touted as, along with airlines, as the two industries that needed help the most. And it's been happening for the last 3 months. It hasn't made a difference on the ground, but have we raised the voice? I think we raised the voice enough. Unfortunately, I think as maybe Mr. Saraf said or Dr. Chaudhary said, I can't remember, but we are seen as an elitist industry. And therefore, to give help to us is not right politics. And therefore, sometimes we tend to lose out on that front. So at the same time, you're saying that you can't expect anything more from the government, right? Because you won't get industry-specific benefits. So I think everyone's tried hard. I think there's some very capable people there. I think you need a unified voice, but we need an association. We cannot, work this out without a good, solid association back in the industry. That was a big segment for our Mumbai hotels, the JW Marriott Sahar and the Renaissance in Powai. And as you know, in Mumbai, the hotels haven't been open out beyond the people who are either transit passengers or the people who were stuck from before. But in Bangalore and Hyderabad, in the month of June, we have six weddings. Size is 50 people, but there are 6 weddings. So there is pent-up demand that's coming into play over here. And I think as the government eases the norms for a number of people, we will see incremental business coming in. And that's the reason that I was earlier speaking about pursuing the path of correlating weddings to square footage as against fixing at 50 people to a wedding. Manav, I agree. I think there's a lot that they're doing. They're working hand in hand. Look, there will be some serious discussions and negotiations that will happen for sure. But the underlying principle has to be that of partnership and figuring a way out of this crisis together. We've had, when you work with big brands, you have some advantages that come with that, their distribution capability, etc. But another advantage that came out of this COVID was the early warning system that came out of from them. So for example, the brands that we work with were able to sound us off as early as January. We have put a hiring freeze in January in our hotels. So, and then what comes along with them is the globally best practices on hygiene and safety. Like Ashish mentioned sometime earlier, hotels is not the bottleneck in their travel cycle right now. It is the flights that are the largest bottleneck from a health and safety perspective. The guests are isolated within their rooms on their own, and that's the industry specifics. I think there will be some hard negotiations. Fixed costs will have to be brought down. There are certain costs that some of the large brands have, whether they are on infrastructure they set up on IT or the global or the national sales organizations that they set up. On all these fronts, there are costs that are built in. They've trimmed some of those costs. We'd like to see them being passed on to the owning companies. So I see opportunities there. And I think for some time we see the revenue-based fee hopefully will be waived off and connected directly with just incentive fee. Blur this last 3 months. I think this whole work from home has merged work and home inseparably. It's, everything is happening on a multitask format. Yes, I have started watching television and watching a lot of web series lately, late into the night. I do catch up on some of that and got quite hooked on it. I think it also offers a little bit of an escape from a long day of stressful work. Uh, Finally, I think Ashish has got it spot on. I think as far as investment is concerned, I didn't want to come in. I think we do want the dust to settle before you start thinking of that. And you need to take care of your current crisis and make sure that you consolidate quickly enough and normalize as soon as possible.